All right, hello and welcome back, everyone. So today will be a bit of a shorter stream, maybe an hour or two here, but I do plan on finishing up at least Evergreen Gardens as it stands right now. I'm at the beginning of year three, so this is a 4-year scenario. You need 1,000 guests in your park, along with a 600 park rating or better. So start of year three, I'm just at 901 guests. I do plan on building another major attraction or two in the back half of the park, so that will definitely push me over the threshold of 1,000 guests, and then keeping them around for another year or so. I will probably fast forward once I get to year four, and if I have enough of a cushion of people in the park. I don't have too much money. I still have a pretty hefty loan here, but I can loan about another 10,000 more dollars, which I will likely need for this next major attraction. But without all the landscaping, and of course, it is inevitable in this scenario that you have to do a lot of landscaping, and that's going to cost a lot of money. Other than that, the park has been profiting so far. Which is a really good thing to see. Not very much because a lot of these rides are more gentle rides, unlike a scenario like Diamond Heights, which had primarily coasters and thrill rides. I went for more gentle rides in this scenario. The Dodgems and the Observation Tower, which just opened, will charge about $3 per ride, so that should help bring in some quick money. The park currently does have three coasters. The wooden coaster was the first one installed. Not too many people are going on it, but it is certainly the most expensive attraction to ride in the park. I did install a small boomerang coaster. Once again, just like with Wicked Twister over here, this ride isn't getting a queue line, too much of a queue line, but people are riding it, and it is charging $6, I want to say, per ride. And then the Junior Coaster was the third one installed. It also did just stop raining in this scenario, so a lot of people are straying away from sort of the outdoor rides, whereas the Carousel and the two gentle rides back here, people are going on because they are indoor attractions. But this junior coaster gets 450 per admission. It does run two trains, so it is a bit of a profiting ride in the scenario. And I do have, a lot of small gentle rides and flat rides around the area. The last thing I did yesterday, this area opened up. So the only area of the park that currently isn't open is this back portion right here. I will reserve this. Likely will do sort of a major coaster back here, a terrain following coaster, and that's when that area will open up. But I don't believe I've even gotten one notification yet that anyone is getting lost or stuck. I did put another information kiosk and a restroom back here, along with some food stalls to sort of supplement what is at the front of the park. Um, and overall, the scenario is going very well. Only 100 guests off, and 2 years left in the scenario. That's of course very easy to obtain with just a couple more attractions. I may just end up pacing myself a little bit though, because I don't want to get over the 1,000 guest threshold right now. And then in year four, I'm running constant advertising campaigns to try to keep people in the park at that point. But this is a very good point to be at. There is still a lot of land left. Besides this portion of the park, there is some flat space remaining for maybe some flat rides as they get researched and developed. But there is some flat space over here. Again, besides the car ride, the back portion of the park is virtually untouched, and there is still a lot of land remaining. I may not even have to touch an area like this right here where there's a lot of terrain. I did end up using the flatland up in this area to build some attractions. There is a long, slender piece of land right here. And I may end up going only with one terrain attraction just to save on money. The landscaping costs are really taking away from profit in this park. To put it in perspective, Diamond Heights, you know, at this point of the scenario, I was making enough money to pay off the loan, and money was not a worry. I was actually the last ride I built in Diamond Heights was a rapids ride, and I essentially fully themed that ride. I in Diamond Heights I reclaimed some of the lands that was part of the lake to make the park look a little bit better for the rapids ride attraction. That's not really an option in this scenario. This money, if I begin building sort of a roller coaster or a thrill ride, this money will go very quickly, and I will have to extend that loan. So, considering it's a scenario that is dependent on guests in the park and park rating, both of which are doing well right now. I don't really care so much about the loan. I have enough cushion, and the loan payments aren't all that much monthly. Research currently is one of the larger costs. I am spending on marketing as well, and the staff wages as well. I have hired basically a lot of staff because it is a large park that sort of needs that. But ride tickets are selling pretty steadily at about $3,000 per month, which is not too much money, but it is enough. And if I can offset some of these costs, I can definitely start to recuperate some of these funds and be able to build some larger attractions. So before I get started, I'm going to see what I have right now. The monorail is still an option. Once I open up a coaster in this area, I may do a monorail from sort of this end of the park and loop it around here. As I did allude to yesterday, instead of building a full loop around this lake, because Wicked Twister is in the way here, I may end up only going with a shuttle design, a station here, and having it sort of go back and forth between the two stations. That may be a very beneficial way, both cost wise. It won't help with capacity, but cost wise and space wise, it'll be very very beneficial. The train ride, the monorail and the monorail is a little bit more expensive, but the train ride you cannot build a shuttle design with. I virtually built everything in the general ride category except for the haunted house. That's not something I want to build right now. Thrill rides, I do have a couple of thrill ride designs left that I haven't used yet that I will probably install. Um, and I am also researching into some water rides, shops, and stalls now to help fill the park. But when it comes to coasters, I've already used the corkscrew design, the junior coaster, and the wooden coaster. So the mini coaster, I don't think that this is a park I will use it in. Maybe something right here. If I need the guests, if I need a quick pulling attraction, that'll be cheap, but I don't really want to buy it. The looping coaster is very similar to the corkscrew coaster. I could reuse one of these designs again and do something different back here, but I think I'm leaning towards the mine train coaster. I must have been building something because I was unaware that this was even available. And I was going to go with sort of a hyper coaster design or something very large in the back portion of the park along the perimeter, but the car ride has also taken up a little bit of that space. I don't now I don't even know. It was just a small, cheap filler attraction to put here, but I'm not even sure why I ended up building it. I usually stray away from the car rides and the haunted houses, but this will be a good space of land. I don't know how much I'll be able to get up here, but certainly a terrain following coaster will take up the majority of this, I'm expecting. And over here is a bit more flat land, so something more traditional that takes up some more space may be beneficial to use here because there isn't much terrain to get around. I did reinstall this pathway. This used to be an elevated boardwalk. I removed that and I simply replaced it with a very generic path. I'm going to have to add some litter bins and benches here as time goes on because that's something I forgot to fill in. Um, but yeah, other than that, I will probably cut the research soon after a few more things roll in here. We're doing pretty well, and there are a lot of designs in the bank that I haven't used yet that are available. So before I start the scenario back up, I'm just trying to see what would be a good place to kind of start. There is a lot of flat land up here. Despite it being on a very large hill, there is a lot of flat land to get a station and a queue line. If I were to get the bobsled coaster, I have done a bobsled coaster up here in the past, and it did work very well. It took a lot of tweaking and a lot of time to build, but I was very happy with the way it came out. So just because this isn't open yet and this section of the park is open, this may be the space for right now. And I probably will have to modify this path again. That is one of the reasons why I didn't build benches or bins. I can definitely modify it, bring it out. I can tunnel it if I need to in here just to open up as much of this flat land. It is a moderate piece of land. Um, I'm not expecting this coaster to be very large, whereas a major ride back here can take up more room. There is flat land still around the park to fill in flat rides and such things, but I think I'm going to focus on right here for right now because I just opened up the section of land and it isn't fully developed yet. There is some land up here, but it isn't a very big space. Wicked Twister is dominating this corner of the park. Over here, there are a lot more rides. It is sort of very developed. There isn't a lot of room left over. And then, pretty much this sort of bowling pin kind of shaped piece of land is what I'm really targeting to work with. So over here, I will probably reserve some of this land for a monorail. I don't want to use that yet. This flat piece of land seems like the best place to start working off of. And I think I am going to go with the mine train coaster. A mine train coaster would be really cool up here, interacting with the terrain. But I do want to save this for something a bit larger. Of course, I could build a very large mine train coaster, but with what I have right now, I think that a moderate scale mine train coaster design will certainly bring me over that 1,000 guest threshold, if not 1,100 guests by the time it opens. And it will be higher priced. I will have to take out some more loan, but that's okay right now. Just to get it going, there should be enough money to construct about half of it or so in the bank without taking out more of a loan. So I will do a custom design, and I think a station right here. This is the highest point kind of this land. So a station up here. There is a lot of flat lands where I could build a queue line and an exit path in this area. There are the food stands over here and some benches already built. So this is sort of kind of developed. This pathway will likely get modified or changed in some way. So I don't want to start it over here if I'm just gonna demolish some of this anyways. So let me think. Oh, construction. And I do also have to disable the brakes failure again. That's the only cheat I'm going with. And I'll unpause and begin. So if I start it right there, the property line, it'll work. So the ending of the coaster will have to come back around this way instead of around this way, but that's okay. And I'll build a station, maybe a couple more out. And then I can always do a small drop out of the station. I ended up going, so in Leafy Lake, I did do a large diagonal, or Diamond Heights rather. I did a large diagonal lift hill for the wooden coaster there. I did work on the diagonal a little bit with the junior coaster and the wooden coaster, so I think I'm going to go with the diagonal lift hill again here, just because we are sort of working on a diagonal strip of lands. And I will turn this here. I don't know how high I'm going to go with this yet. Probably something like 60 feet or so is a good starting point for a moderate scale mine train in this game. And I may go with the steep drop, at least to start. Kind of goes over the path, so this path may get rerouted in a way, but it isn't in the way right now. The lift hill and the drop went over it just fine. The supports don't really look all that messed up. And I will remove some of these trees as well. It will hurt me. God, I've already run through pretty much all the money that I've had. So what I'm thinking is this land in here, this land is pretty much not going to serve any purpose, I don't think. A flat ride could go in here, but other than that, nothing major can really go in there. So maybe the mine train dips under the wooden coaster and comes in this area, comes back around. Maybe it goes through a tunnel in here and then it kind of bridges back over the brakes over the bridge and then turns back into the station, sort of makes a big loop in this area back here. So I like that idea a lot. So I'll just turn it back on so that it's going this way towards the wooden coaster. And maybe I do, that's a 60-foot lift hill, so I think it should be able to clear a 50-foot drop after it, hopefully. So that will be able to go through there very nicely. And as far as the path goes, it's a very simple path, but I may just bring it out a little bit, or I may just work around it so that it's, not really in the way. So that's going to cut pretty substantially into the structure of the coaster the way it looks. Or maybe not. No, it won't. So now maybe I go with the helix here. I'm out of cash. Okay. So I'm just gonna loan some more money. I'll loan up to 35. That'll leave 5 grand to play with. This coaster probably will end up using the majority of the loan. This certainly 6 grand won't be enough, I don't think, to complete the coaster, especially now that I'm sort of working over terrain and elevated pathways. So maybe I do another coaster over the water here, or at least interacts with the water. Coming off the helix, do a double down towards the water. I just want to make sure that I'm going to be able to. Yeah, that should be okay. So it dips under the wooden coaster here, right up against the water, and it'll start coming back up. And here's actually a perfect point. I was going to tunnel it into the land right here. Um, do a dip into the tunnel. So this will give me a lot of room under here. Nothing else will be going under here. So there's a lot of open room inside of this hill to extend the track. Because other than that, it snakes around, isn't doing too much. But I do like the way that this is coming out so far. I'm just hoping that I will have enough room here, or enough speed rather. I should be able to clear this hill no problem, but it will be sort of a slower beginning to the ride. It will pick up speed as it dives down towards the water and then goes into the tunnel. It's only going up about 20 feet or so, so that should be more than enough speed to do some elements. Maybe I'll just go with another helix inside of the tunnel. Adds a little bit more track length here. I'm trying to see where I am. Maybe I do a drop. Into a turn. So that dips down a lot there. Okay, maybe I have to go with sort of another turn here. Bring it back in towards where the land is the highest here. Maybe I do sort of a hill inside of the tunnel. Try to see where I am. So this is going to end up coming back out. Oh, that is going way down right there. So I could either bring it back out of the tunnel at this point and then loop it around, or I could add a little bit of length to it, which I might try to do. It is a pretty not short coaster, but along the size it will end up being of Wicked Twister, and I may want it to be just a little bit longer than that. So maybe I only make this a 2 down drop, so that, and still it's okay. So if I do this here, I could bring it out again. Delete this tree. Maybe if I do sort of it won't be able to clear that. Maybe 35 feet at this point. At 40 feet, it will be able to clear. Um, Especially if I start going down right away. It should be able to maneuver this just fine. Maybe it bridges over there. Maybe I go on the diagonal again, down a hill. On cash, so I'm gonna have to take out the rest of that $40,000. But that will be enough to finish this design. I have to get back up to 10 feet to complete this layout. So I was gonna bring it back around here again, but I'm using the diagonals a lot on this design. Um, I don't know if that's actually such a good idea now because with the entrance and exit, it is going to be a very awkward sort of transition here. That is, unless I continue going down. I do a sharp turn here. 10 feet, if I build a bridge over here, that will be enough to clear it. You need 10 feet of clearance between a coaster track and a path. So that should be enough room. If I have a couple of blocks right here, if I have at least two of them, which I don't believe that I have. So I'm gonna do one of these type deals. Dive up 10 feet. Maybe I do a break because I do want to go into a flat turn. Yeah. And then a block break. So this 18, I may reduce that to 13 miles an hour there. Entrance and exit. I'll just do this for the time being, just to see how this works out. Boost the lift speed as much as possible because this hill is going to be a bit of a problem to clear, and I have no idea what kind of speed we'll be working with when it gets to this section of the ride. But test it out and see what it does. So it goes into a diagonal lift hill here. I do like that I was able to bring it into this section of the park and certainly work with the tunnel, bring it back around. It is a bit of a weird, cramped ending, but it'll work out for what it's meant to do. 60-foot lift hill into the steep drop. Yeah, it goes over that hill just fine. I am a little bit more worried about the speed over here because there is a lot of track within this tunnel, and we're talking a 20-foot difference from the lift hill to this hill right here. I highly doubt that it's going to be able to make it over that. No chance. No chance at all. So this is definitely going to have to be shortened. I'm only going up to 25 feet. Um, okay. So laterally, that won't be enough room. Trying to think a little bit creatively here. So if I bring it out one, and then is that still? Yeah, no, that's over too much one. Um, okay. And I'm assuming that this one will end up being. It only came up to like this point though is the problem. So I'm assuming that like something like 25 feet will be the maximum it can actually go up with the speed that it has. Um, I don't want to put like a mini lift hill there because that'll look kind of stupid. I may just have to start sort of a turn like this. That'll be enough. I'll have to modify this land just a smidge. Okay. So it will end up running here. Why won't it let me? I may have to do sort of a. Okay, that's still enough. It will only let me do 6 mile an hour lift hill speed. So another option may be making the trains a car longer, so I definitely do have the room to do that to extend the station because more cars will hold more momentum. I just want to make it be able to go around. I'm not too concerned about it being low speed right here because it is the end of the ride, but I don't want to have to modify too much of this at this point. And I will pay off a hair of the loan just because the coaster is pretty much complete now and I have some money in the bank. June of year 3, I am at over 1,000 guests. Okay. It just about made it up the hill there. So if I'm able to extend the station just a little bit, enough so that um, I'm able to add another car or two. 7 cars per train, and I'm gonna go to fast speed here because I'm tired of waiting for this thing. Okay, will this be enough to clear? No. All right, I didn't want to do it, but I am gonna do it just for the sake of time. It is pretty much the end of the ride too, though, so I am gonna add lift hill in. This I won't need a brake there. It's gonna be coming up here with very low speed. But one thing I may just do is I may add another block brake. I may be able to get 3 trains on this now that I have 2 lift hills. It is saying I can do 4 trains, but I'm only going to do 3. So now it will be able to clear this. I just want to make sure that it looks somewhat okay and it isn't taken at a snail's pace all the way through the end of the ride. With people on the ride, it will also actually I'm gonna get rid of the banked turn there. Just because don't need it. Okay. Test it again. I guess it's sort of an ending like Magnum at Cedar Point. It kind of has this weird little a block section here and then a break right there. The lift hill could act as that, and sort of a weird little twisting motion at the end. A block break and then another block break. Okay, you're going too slow. 6.52, so that ain't bad. That's about what I was expecting to get out of this, between $6 and $7. Certainly, if the ending was taken a little bit quicker, if I had a little bit more land here to extend the lift hill a little bit, it would have had a bit of a higher excitement rating. But it is what it is for the sake of time now, nearing sort of the end of year three almost. I really want to get this open to keep over 1,000 guests in the park. So I will start working on the queue line for this. In fact, I want to build the exit ramp before I do the queue, because I just want to see basically. Think. Okay, that works. And then maybe instead of going straight out, I'll do a slope right away. Went down one too many, so I'll end it there. Go outwards one. Inwards as much as it will let me. I'll have to modify this block of land right there. That should be long enough sort of for this coaster. And it is sort of like excuse me. It is sort of like one of those things that I don't like doing, building sort of like a leg out. But that's really the only way I can fit it in sort of successfully here. Naming it, I'll call it Evergreen Mine Ride, because I just want to get this ride open at this point and not focus on the name and more minute things. The colors are okay. I don't really have any brown in the park, or black for that matter, so it is a mine train coaster. I like the colors of the trains too. And the excitement rating did go down a little bit. So I may charge $6 out of this to start, and then see if I can add some scenery around the ride. I will advertise it for 8 weeks. Evergreen Mine Ride. Bring some more people into the park. This coaster should bring between sort of 150 to 200 people, 100 to 200 as a conservative range. And then with one more major ride back here, I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the scenario if I have between 1,300 and 1,500 guests in the park. So maybe I do some of these trees in here. Maybe over the water. I do have the classical Roman theming now. I wasn't sure if I had that or not yesterday, so I will give Cupid's love machine back its statue that I demolished. Not sure if it was a glitch or if I researched it at some point in between there accidentally, but this wasn't available yesterday from what I remember. Okay, so some more of these trees. Where am I here? Maybe I add a couple in the infield there. Level land is required for this tree type. Um, so maybe I do that. See if it put any more excitement value into the ride. 6.52. So I will charge 650 for it. Just trying to get as much money out of it as possible, I guess. I will need some benches in this area. Now that I know I'm keeping this pathway, I didn't have to modify it at all. I will add the benches in over here. Maybe a couple there. A couple there. Add some litter bins in as well, because there is a food stall nearby here. And maybe continue some of these lamps back into this area. I'm sure the elevated walkway might have had them. Shoot, get rid of some benches I didn't want to. Just to add to the ambiance of the park. We'll add them all the way up into here. That should be good enough for the time being. So this path is now populated with some benches and such things. There are a couple over here. Maybe I'll add some more, as well as some litter bins. there isn't much to do in this section of the park, but certainly need those path elements in a lot of locations because it is a large park and there's a lot of walking space. I'm tempted to build a swinging inverter ship in this area as well, just to add another ride, another thing to do. After that, I will probably be done with this area of the park and then focus more over here again to round out the park, sort of. So where I could put it, I could put it in here. There isn't anything going right here. This is sort of a dry section as well, but over here you do have two attractions. Over here you have a couple of attractions. So this edge of the park may be okay as it stands. Whereas in here, there really is nothing between Wicked Twister, and you have to go all the way to the mine train to find an attraction. So I may just put this in here. I'll give it the wooden entrance, give it a little bit of theme. Built in a queue line for it. Doesn't need a very long one. It is dirt path back here. So, something to do within this section of the park. Give it the maximum number of swings. And as for the name, I'll call it Tomahawk. That looks pretty good. The colors look fine as it is. Um, I'll add a little bit of fencing back here. Maybe the mesh fencing I don't think I've used anywhere in this park. Let's see. Oh, this thing's right in the way. I'll have to disable scenery here. It just adds a little bit more realism with a couple of coasters right there. Having some fencing within this section of the park. Where was I? That looks fine. Continue it down here a little bit. Don't know where that path ends. The dirt footpaths will throw you off a little bit because the edges aren't very square like an asphalt path is. The edges are curved on the ends, so if you put up fencing, it looks sort of weird. I'm definitely gonna have to disable looking at these two because I can't see anything. So I did it there. Don't know why I'm going overboard with the fencing right now. I think I particularly said earlier in the scenario that I wasn't going to focus on it with this, but the park is making a little bit more money now. Maybe I repay a little bit more of the loan so I have some in the bank if I need it. 420. 420 joke. So this flat ride will get $4. I'm surprised they don't install these more often because they do fairly well in terms of money, and it's a very low investment. Doesn't take up much space at all. So once people start riding it, that flat ride will bring in a lot. With the money, I may also just do an advertising campaign for the park. 8 weeks. And I don't have too much money left over, but it is starting to regenerate a lot quicker now that there are more attractions in the park. This ride is actually doing very well. It's filling 3 trains and the queue line is full, so this will make its money back very quickly. And let me just make sure popularity that all the rides are getting ridden. The bumper cars actually are doing the worst. There is a line for it though, and I believe in order to start a cycle, all the cars must be filled on this one. So I'm not too concerned about that. Yeah, the Ferris wheel. I would expect that the hedge maze, the Ferris wheel, have lower popularities. The car ride is only at 48%, but even then, the queue line is filled. It is lower capacity, but a lot of people are coming back here, and the queue line is full, so I'm not too concerned about that either. Make sure that the stands are all profiting, which they are. Both information kiosks are profiting. Obviously, the one at the front of the park is doing better than the one right here, but this one is actually making a decent amount of money for being a duplicate stall. Okay. This ride, with the three trains, it is eating a lot of people very quickly, so that may have been a good idea for this attraction. Obviously, in the future, the popularity will wear off, but by the time this scenario ends, that the popularity of this ride really won't be too much of a worry. So I do have some more options now when it comes to building stuff. The wooden wild mouse was researched again, just like with the mini coaster. I don't know. I may put in a filler attraction somewhere, but I don't know if I want to go with another small size coaster. The mine train certainly has helped so far bringing people into the park, so the big ones are the way to go. Shops and stalls, I already have one of everything. One will be designed though, coming up very soon. And I also do have the log flume and the dinghy slide. Um, I mean, a log flume, the dinghy slide and the log flume will probably take up very equal amounts of lands. They will take up about the same. The dinghy slide can move a little bit faster than the log flume, but it only has two-person rafts as opposed to four-person boats. The dinghy slide is a bit cheaper to construct than the log flume as well. I already did a log flume, and we had one in Diamond Heights, which of course I didn't design, and one of the parks I did a log flume in. Dynamite Dooms, I did the log flume in. I haven't done a dinghy slide yet, and I've been doing sort of something with this park where I've been designing a lot of the rides I haven't done yet. So maybe I go with a dinghy slide for this park. Um, and I will go with a custom design, of course, as well with this. Um, this I want to preserve for like a coaster, but over here there is quite a bit of flat lands. It will become slender back here, but there is quite a bit of space available that will be appropriate for a very moderate sized dinghy slide. So maybe the dinghy slide starts here, goes around this sort of area, and just loops back. Um, I think I want to do that. And the station, I could always connect to this little plaza right here. I did have a handyman over here. I don't know why it's still so dirty. But I could always put the queue line and entrance right here and then avoid connecting this until the coaster is in place. I may end up rerouting some of these paths as well, so that I cut back on the amount of space available to the guests. So I'll start the dinghy slide here, maybe have it go up about 50 feet. You can't do diagonal pieces with this, so that is unfortunate, but you can't do it with the log flume either. So you know what I may do? I may bring the station back a little bit just so that I can. There is a specific place that I want the turn to go over, and yeah, that'll work. So 50 feet up. I want the slide not to go over because some more food stalls may go in this area. Maybe I go to a enclosed path or an enclosed track now. I actually want to start the drop a little bit earlier. There will be enough clearance here. These can crash as well. I'm not sure what the requirements are. I know that if you have an open piece like this, if it's going too fast, it can go over the edge. But I'm not sure about steepness. I do believe if you build something too steep or you build a really fast hill, that the dinghies can actually fly off. Um, I don't even know if I really want to build this anymore, to be honest. A log flume would work better because the elevated pathways wouldn't look so weird. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the log flume instead, actually. I'll save a dinghy slide for a different scenario. And I could probably get better capacity out of a log flume. Too high for supports. So the log flume. I'm just gonna go ahead and disable the support limits here because why not? This may have not been such a great place to build an attraction because I am dealing with these two paths on the side of the ride. I may just end up doing something where it goes out over here and comes back a shorter style log flume. Or I could start it here. I'll start it here instead. I could also connect the entrance to the flower bed right here as I did with Boomerang earlier in the scenario. Um, so it goes up 30 feet. Yeah, this works better. Actually don't want to make that too close to the ground because I'll have to loop it around here. Maybe it goes down all the way. Starts going up again. That will be able to clear the path. And then it does a final drop over the water. Sure, why not? Sort of a very non-traditional log flume. There are a couple of elevated sections on this, and the drop is obviously very weird too. It doesn't go straight down; it goes down, turns, and then goes down again. But I mean, okay, now I'm getting crazy here. I think I may go with the dinghy slide in this location. So I started it here. And it's going to have to go up starting here. 40 feet high. Will this fit? I just don't want it to interfere with the coaster either. Oops. And I'm definitely not going with this red color scheme. That is the first thing I'm going to change because maybe it goes over the path right there. Just want to make sure. Yeah, there's a support on the other side. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. So I'm going to have to bring this down. I do apologize that I haven't been really talking as much here in the stream. I just have a lot going through my mind right now. And also, I know I did promise that I would be upgrading my my hardware for my computer, but that may also be on hold because I just realized that I may need to replace the alternator on my car. So that's going to have to take first priority. Not that I don't have the money right now, but I don't know if I want to be spending a lot of money on both streaming stuff and car related stuff. So I can certainly make the repairs myself on my car. But yeah, I don't know money wise if I want to be spending so much right now until I get a job. So, all right, so gray supports. I'll go with maybe a blue. Why not? A blue and a teal sort of color. The dinghies can be white and maybe orange, sort of life raft style. And I want to see these rides are very hard to really dial down and get constructed right. So definitely have to make sure that the cycles go okay on this. Typically, I don't really use the dinghy slide, but I figured either a log flume or a dinghy slide, one water ride for this scenario. Speed on them is very unpredictable, that is for sure. So it made it all the way around, so that's a good thing. I just wanted to make sure that it didn't stall on one of these hills or start rolling backwards. With people, it will go a bit faster, but this right here seems to be the slowest point of the ride that may cause an issue. I'm not really expecting too much out of this attraction in terms of. Okay, so it is almost a $5 generating ride. That's okay for what it is. It'll bring people into the park, that's for sure. Slick, slick river, something like that. I don't know. Entrance. Maybe I'll go with a canvas sort of tent on this one. Canvas tent. Yeah, that looks okay for this. I can get it open. I'll finish off the fencing here, so the gardens are going to need a little bit more brick. Um, I'll do the rope fencing right here. Oh, that's not the rope fencing that I wanted. Okay, so replace this one as well. I really wish I knew the reason why the handyman over here isn't really doing his job. There are a lot of wilting flowers that need to be watered. Is he the guy? Yeah, he's the guy for this area. Like, water those flowers, man. Park rating is at 772, so it could be a little bit higher, but it's not in the dangerous range. I wouldn't say for this scenario, getting too close to the limit. I'm gonna leave the terrain like this here, maybe for the mine ride. Maybe I'll do some stone, some rock. Not that it's necessary, but oops, microphone just started tumbling over. Okay, so a little bit there. There we go. I will advertise the Dinghy Slide just because I can. Slick River, I'll do 6 weeks for that one. Hopefully, that will bring in over 1,200, 1,300 people. I'm aiming for with that attraction. Definitely over 12. 13 maybe a stretch though, because it is a moderate attraction. It only is, it is a high excitement rating, but it is only a, oh, and I can definitely change this to 450. Almost a $5 earner, but not quite there. So probably add a couple of these in as well, just for added effect. Not too much I can do, or maybe I'll add one of those. One of these, I guess. Um, some little trees or bushes of sorts. Add a couple of these as well. Okay, so I may also have to reduce the queue line for this because I can see it getting very long. I'm only running 6 boats with two riders per boat. It says it's at a 5 minute queue time, but I'm sure that that will increase. It is a full queue and it is a lower capacity ride, only 408 per hour. So that's why I steer away from the dinghy raft rides usually. Lower capacity, higher tendency to crash. They don't look the most realistic either. I would have much preferred a log flume, but it just wasn't really working in this area. Of course, there are log flumes out there with elevated pathways and such things, but it would have been a very weird looking log flume. This is more, there are a couple elevated portions, but there are enclosed portions, and there's really only two large drops on this. So, okay, start looking at what else I have. I really would like that bobsled coaster. That would be something cool. That would be something cool to put over here. Um, I didn't end up using this plot of land over here like I figured I would. This may end up going undeveloped for the time being. And okay, so the balloon stall is the one that was researched. I don't think that I'll install that. I was looking for more of a traditional food stall so that I could add to a couple of these plazas that already have food in them. And the start of year 4 now. So I'm almost at 1,200 guests. That's a good number to be at right now. The advertising campaigns, I'll pay off some of this loan and I'll also start another advertising campaign. Okay. So the park is certainly bringing in a lot more money now that there are significant amount more attractions. Um, let's try to make sure the queue time. Okay, queue time isn't too long. These rides back here really have started helping bring in the money. The front of the park wasn't making too much, but the back of the park is certainly making up for that now. The Dinghy Slide, of course, just opened as well. I will add a couple more handymen, 5 mechanics. Not a lot is breaking down, so that should be enough for the time being. This area, though, is a very problematic area. Looks a little bit better now, but I had to reposition that guy. It seems like he cleaned up a lot over here, but I certainly would like it to be a little bit cleaner, considering that there is one guy only walking around in this zone. That's not a very large zone. There are a lot of um, there are a lot of bins and flowers and stuff to look after, but it isn't stretching the limits of what one handyman can do by himself. And there are 9 other handymen also roaming around the park. The gentle rides aren't stagnant yet in terms of people going on them, but the popularity certainly has worn off with a lot more thrill rides in the park now. So as long as they're profiting a little bit, I don't care that they bring in a lot of money. But as long as their people are going on them and they are bringing in some revenue to offset their operating costs, I don't really mind keeping them around. They're not really doing much to hurt the park right now, and they're not taking up lands that I'm actively looking to develop in a way. I'm done with water rides. I put one in. It's not really something that I'm too proud of or wanted, but one water ride should be enough. Um, I do have a couple of thrill rides that I haven't used yet, but I don't really want to put in go karts. And the launch free fall I'll save for if I need a quick pick me up near the end of the scenario. All the general rides have virtually been installed, and I don't want to do a stand up coaster. I'll see if I can get a bobsled coaster as one of the next research items. That's something that I would want to build. And besides that, I've pretty much put everything into this park, and it is bringing in money now. The guest count is going up. I am over the levels of what I need to be at by the end of this year in the scenario. So one more big attraction, and I probably will start fast forwarding at that point. This is one of the longer scenarios just because it is a 4 year one as opposed to 2 or 3 years. A lot of them are 3 year scenarios. So I'll start fast forwarding. I like what I've done to this park. I like what I did up here. I like what I started back here. This is the one eyesore in my mind. I don't really like the way that the dinghy slide looks, but maybe different colors will do the trick for me. Maybe that lighter blue looks a little bit better there. Not so sharp on the eyes, because there are a lot of rides in this park that there are a lot of brightly colored rides, but back here, there are more earthy tones, and yeah, that blue definitely looks a little bit better, at least to me. I don't even know of any parks like this would be a water slide for all intents and purposes. I don't even know of any parks that have a ride much like this. There are probably a few in the UK, considering the developer of the game was from the UK, and most, if not all, of these rides have taken inspiration from some actual ride model. But dinghy slides are not something that are popular in North America, at least. Some of the parks, like Six Flags Great Adventure, had some in park water slides, sort of wet or dry water slides, but nothing on the scale of this, of course. Um, this is definitely more of an oddball attraction in the game that you don't see too often. You see log flumes, you see boat docks and rapids rides, but dinghy slides have never really caught on. Um, I'll repay some more of this loan as well while the money is coming in. It is good to see though now that the park is really kind of making its money the same type of the same level that Diamond Heights was when it was fully operating. Before, it was very hard to pull in money, and now a lot of the rides are making sales, and there is certainly enough to do for people. The average guest is bringing in, this guy has 70, so probably anywhere from like 50 or 40 to $80 most guests are bringing into the park, which is a good amount. They can get on most of everything and not be running out of cash. Okay, so people are running out of cash, but I'm sure that by the time they hit that point, they will have gotten on most attractions. So I got to be careful because almost 100 people will be leaving the park, and that'll lead me closer to the 1,000 guest limit rather than 1,200, which it's hovering at right now. Nobody's saying that it's crowded. Nobody's lost, which is a good thing. Park rating is high. It actually rebounded a little bit from the last time I checked. It was at 770 something. Now it's at 955. So Okay, so I will get a cotton candy stall that I will probably use, but I'm looking more for a coaster for the next development. Maybe I'll fast forward just a little bit here and see what happens. Oh, and I also want to make sure that this 9 minute queue time, it's right at the borderline of being too long, but it's nothing atrocious as of right now. It will start losing its popularity fairly soon as well, I would expect. Um, just waiting for the cotton candy stall to be developed, and then I will slow down. Okay. I will start another advertising campaign for the park once this one ends to make sure people are still coming in. I'm going to add the cotton candy stall right in here. I did start this sort of little food and drink plaza earlier. Um, so another one in there for the time being. Should be good on food and drinks then after this one for the amount of people that are in the park. Fast forward some. Another advertising campaign for the park. I'll do a 10-weeker, spend the money so that it's there, and research a little bit more till I can see what the next coaster type will be. Oops. It is still the beginning of year 4 here, but things seem to be going well enough. At least fast forward it to the point where I can start building this coaster, which it'll probably open right at the end of year 4 here once it's researched and all that. So nothing's dropping as of right now. Guest wise, park ratings holding steady. Steeplechase. I was really hoping for the bobsled design, but at this point, I may just go for the steeplechase when it's researched. It will be a smaller coaster, but at the same time, I don't really want to go for a stand up coaster either. I've already built one corkscrew coaster. Looping coaster would be similar to that, so it'll be a cheaper coaster. It will allow me to open up this final area of the park here, at least with one attraction, and get some benches in there, some bins, and it should be good to go. It will bring people sort of full circle around the property. I started out with such great ambitions today. With this park to finish it off. I had some big plans in place. I did the mine train coaster, which didn't take up too much time, and the dinghy slide, I guess, took up a little bit of time. But I haven't really put in all that much. I put in the mine train, I put in the Ranger flat ride, and I put in the slide. So 3 more attractions. Half of the scenario was left. I really started at a good point where I believe I started at 900 guests halfway through the scenario, and it's been holding steady only by bringing a couple hundred more people into the park. Um, it hasn't started dropping yet. So June 3rd is when that attraction will be developed. I guess I could start thinking over what I want to do here so that I'm ready right when it is ready. The paths, there's not much to do. Connected here, connected there. It's 3 connection points. It isn't a very long stretch of path. It's just very hilly, so benches will have to go in because guests will get tired walking up this large hill. Other than that, though, maybe start the station around here. Maybe have it go sort of in an oval type of area there, and that'll be it for that. The steeplechases, unless you build multiple lift hills, usually don't end up being too long. They're also low capacity, so I could do something where I build 2 smaller tracks, but have them either dueling or have 2 of them going at once, just to add the capacity and add 2 coasters instead of one. It will help with bringing people into the park for this final stretch here. I am surprised that the guest count has held as steady as it has. Ever since I opened this attraction up, this has been the amount of guests. Just under 1,200 guests is what I've been hovering at. And months later, I just fast forwarded quite a bit. I haven't really lost anyone yet. Granted, an advertising campaign for the park has been going the whole time, but that park guest value has held virtually the same all this time for the last hour of gameplay or so, which is a good sign. I would really be worried if at this point you'd see the red arrow pop up and people started leaving because that would certainly bring it very close to the 1,000 guests total. Maybe I will build two of them. I will build a station over here and I will build a station over here, and make them just two different, completely different layouts. So I will build it up high enough so that I don't have to worry about the paths. So maybe this one goes up to there. I was gonna maybe have them dual, but oh, that'll be too high. I was gonna have two dueling ones, but then I'd have to get a little more creative with finding the flat land to have two stations, two different coasters, and two sets of paths for the entrance exit. Oh, and I totally forgot I was gonna build that monorail ride, but it's fine. These will not be very long coasters at all. Maybe I have it go on the diagonal. At this point, I'm really just hoping that I have enough speed sort of to make it around because it does go up 65 feet, but it stays very close to the terrain here to the hill because this hill is assisting it as it goes up the lift, I guess, in a way. Maybe I have a crossover there. I am planning on two not very long types of coasters, and I was going to build a station for this one right about in here, so I'll have to be mindful not to build things too um, close to each other. Yeah, I am really hoping that this will be able to make it around. It really does not have that large of a beginning hill. Um, Sort of an abrupt ending, kind of, but I am going to be building two of these. Um, I mean, yeah, there should be enough cars or vehicles. It is a very short layout. I'm just going to plop these in and start testing it to see how it performs. 1,200 guests now, June. So this attraction will probably open in about August. Once both sides are constructed, they are quick coasters to build. Yeah, this coaster really shouldn't have any problem making it all the way around. Okay, so I'll begin building another one. So this, I will need the height markers on the track. I'll start it at the same height. Start going upwards. I won't be able to do that. I will be able to do that though. Maybe this one will go up a little bit more. This one will be a bit more of an intense sort of side. Maybe it'll be a little bit longer, a little bit more intense. Oh. It does start at 75 feet, so I should have a few feet to spare here. And then maybe it juts out. Oh, I'm building right on top of the Dinghy Slide, so then maybe I just start doing a very wide turnaround. $30, $25. Shoot. Okay, so that won't work. Why not? And this one, entrance and exit, can be over here, I guess. This one, oh, well, it's producing decent stats for what it is. This one I'll be a little bit more concerned about because it's about the same size, may end up being a few feet longer, but it is the larger of the two. These will be very low capacity attractions, but there's that. This one will have to connect just any old way to the other side. Oops. There. This side's going to be cooking quite a bit more than the other side is, but I was going to have them dual. They do cross over a couple of times here, but um I'm just ready kind of to end this scenario at this point. I don't know why. I'm not. I wouldn't say that I'm not in the mood to stream, but I'm just sort of ready to go on to a different map. There's that. There. Gonna connect it to that one. And maybe I go with a red and a green sort of color scheme for these two. Oh, well, that one was red already, and I changed it to green. Okay, so this one will be red. Station, I'll go with the canvas tent again. Steeplechase 1, Steeplechase 2. 4.83. I'll charge $4.50 for both of them. This one, yeah, 450 for both of them is pretty fair. Oh, and now I can finally reconnect the pathways. It's that one, that one, and there's one right there. I'll add benches and bins. Gonna need them. I could squeeze in the monorail right here, but I probably will fast forward at this point to the end of the scenario. And considering I have the money, why not do one of these? Sure. I'll run an advertising campaign for the park and for a ride. We'll do Steeplechase 1, I guess. Kind of a half-assed attraction here, but with two sides of it, I certainly could have made these coasters a lot longer. This one's only a little under 1,500 feet. This one, they're both actually just about the same length. I'll compare the two stats now just for 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour, 52, 53 seconds. Steeplechase 2, which is the green side, does have a little bit of airtime moments. The lateral G's both average about two, about the same positive G's. One has six drops, one has five, and both of them, the highest drop height is 22 feet. So I wasn't really aiming for these coasters to be too similar, but the stats ended up being almost identical. They're not dueling per se, but there are a couple of crossover elements, and I like the kinetic energy of both of them in operation. Just a lot of cars going around at once. If I revisit this scenario, which a lot of these larger parks I will, Diamond Heights, Levy Lake, and such, this area will be a lot more developed. There will be food stalls. The paths might be rearranged a little bit. Certainly another attraction or two up here. The pads are really the big thing to kind of rearrange and make look better. Maybe even modify the coasters. Time was a bit of a constraint here, but modify them so that they duel just a little bit more, and they're a little bit more exciting. Maybe try to add some more vehicles to them so that they um, have higher capacity. This ride only gets 192 per hour. This ride 96 per hour, but that is factored in because not as many people are going on it. The queues are not very long though, so a lot of people shouldn't be waiting for a long time to get on these. It will be a moderate wait time, but there will not be enough people in the queues so that they'll start complaining that they're waiting too long in line. I do like putting in some more of this sort of mud, grass texture to break away. The rest of the park is pretty much all green. Back here, I put a little bit of the rocks in by the mine train, which seems to be still doing very popular. Save the game. And I'm going to fast forward it now. Just because the scenario I should be able to. Oh, park rating is slipping a little bit. It's still above what it needs to be. So maybe hire a couple more handymen, keep it clean. Another couple security guards to prevent vandalism. I don't see any so far. Um, this area is staying a little bit cleaner, but the flowers are withering. It's either it seems like the flowers are dying, or there's a lot of litter. There's a lot of litter in this area as well, so I may hire. Oops, I didn't want to hire a handyman. Um, I simply wanted to place one over here so that no, I wanted to do this. I wanted to place down control zone, maybe the food area as well. just to keep this section of the park a bit cleaner. I don't really see any litter anywhere else. A little bit over here, I don't see any vandalism though, so it seems to be getting taken care of just fine. Heart rating to jump a little bit again. So I will hyperspeed it. Almost at the end of the scenario here, should easily win it at this point with what the park has. The guest count is decreasing, but with the attractions in place, it really shouldn't dip below 1,100 people or so. The requirement only needs 1,000 guests in the park. Cool. All right, so before I go, I'll do a bit of a recap for what I did with this park. Of course, the park was all empty when it opened. I basically cut off the pathways for right about where my mouse is going right now. The back half of the park was cut off. I developed the front half of the park. Didn't have a lot of rides to start. I put in, the scrambler. I put in the merry-go-rounds and a couple of these gentle rides. I went right away and I started building the wooden coaster, which was Wicked Twister. Spent most of the money, but this has been a ride that's remained very popular for the last 4 years of gameplay. It charges with the on-ride photo, there was a potential to get 950 out of a guest, so that was very important in starting to get some of the revenue going. Then I built this fairly cheap Boomerang Coaster, which was another coaster that helped get the revenue. Um, it's still making a decent amount of money. I put in the pirate ship back here, the hedge maze, the spiral slide. I basically developed this front half of the park, put in a couple of food stands over in this area, and then I built the junior coaster, which again is fairly popular. It is one of probably the higher grossing rides in the park. Very small coaster, very cheap, but serves the purpose of adding to the park, bringing people in. Then I opened up the back half of the park. I cut off this area, but I started over here, put in the Sky Cabin and the Dodgems, which both are gentle rides still, but they're both able to charge this one 350 and this one $3. So the other gentle rides aren't really making much money. Not many people are going on them anymore. But these two rides did pick up the slack. And with the three coasters that were installed at the time and the other things going on in the park, that certainly helped to add the revenue, to add the Mine Train coaster. Well, first I did the car ride. So another this attraction is getting 1,100 per hour, which isn't bad. Only 250 per ride, but it's been performing a lot better than I expected. People have been waiting for it ever since it's been opened. A couple of food stands in this area, a little bit of scenery to dress up the ride and help be able to charge a little bit more for it. Then I added the mine train. First thing I did today. This moderate sized mine train interacts with the wooden coaster over here, tunnels, and then kind of just crosses back into the plaza. I put in Tomahawk over here, the Ranger ride, which is able to charge $4 per ride, which is pretty big. Second to last thing I did, I put in this small dinghy slide, which has been very popular, very long lines for it. But a filler attraction to help keep the guests in the park, attract a few more maybe. And finally, these two steeplechase coasters. I was awaiting something like a bobsled coaster to put over here, but the research didn't work in my favor. So I simply built these two very rapid fire small steeplechase coasters, and they both are able to charge 450 per ticket. So $9 across these two coasters. This is the same price that a major coaster would be able to gross out of it. And they move pretty quickly. They are lower capacity, but again, just to help preserve around the 1,100, 1,200 people in the park, the scenario only required 1,000, so I wanted enough cushion. When I stopped building sort of major things in year three and year four to help carry this guest count over, it did start to decrease in August or September of year four, but with the amount of things in the park, it never went below 1,100. So that was about 150 more people than what from what we have right now than what the scenario required. Park rating really held pretty steady at this average. Went down a little bit. At one point, it was almost at 9.99, but park rating's been doing very well because I kept up on adding the staff. I put some patrol zones in as the need arose for those. And I added a lot of benches, a lot of bins to kind of keep people happy. Another information kiosk back here so people wouldn't get lost. And if it starts raining, the umbrellas were definitely high sales items. So if I sort here, the most popular ride as of right now is Evergreen Mine Ride, which would make sense. It is one of the major coasters of the park, and it is the most recent major coaster. Ladybug Dash, Wicked Twister, Boomerang are all still performing well, even though they are earlier coasters. People are still riding them. Slick River is not very high capacity, but it is remaining popular. Same with Steeplechase. The capacities are really hurting these coasters, but they are all able to charge a decent amount for tickets. And then some of the filler rides in here as well. Some of the higher grossing thrill rides and gentle rides. Tomahawk is not okay. I'm assuming that people. Okay, for some reason, people aren't able to get on this ride. I don't know why. I don't know if the rain has just been affecting this, but this should have been a very high grossing ride with the $4 price point. I'm not going to worry about it too much though, because um, we did pass the scenario. And some of these smaller gentle rides, the merry-go-rounds, the slide, of course, the hedge maze are all still profiting, which is good, but they're not really bringing in much of anything. So that being said, I am gonna end the stream right here. I was thinking of starting Bumbley Beach, but I think I'll do a whole stream dedicated just to that. This one was a two-parter, and I have been streaming now for a little over an hour and a half, so hour and a half to finish up 2 hours worth of gameplay sort of on this scenario. Thank you for watching. The video will go up on YouTube, and check out the website. I will probably be back tomorrow or the next day, depending. But thanks again, and see you later.